It's one thing to project credibility on the outside or articulate yourself really clearly, but if you don't feel like it's aligned with who you are and what matters to you and what makes you tick and what your quirks are, then scrap it, because we don't need more polished fake robots in the world. That's not what we're doing here. So which value aligned strategies do you typically use in your communications? I want to give a concrete example just so you really know what I mean by this, because I know it can get a little bit confusing. When I say a value aligned strategy that you typically use, here's what I mean. One of my driving values right now is connection. And so one of the tactics that I tend to use, whether out loud or in the way I'm interacting with someone, is to make people feel like they're not alone. That whatever their hiccup is or their challenge is or whatever they're feeling awkward about, that I've either experienced it personally, that I've heard it out there in the world, that it's not this isolated experience. So that's a tactic I tend to use. And then to move into the third part with my driving value of connection, in moments where I feel like I can't really connect with someone, like the energy is off or I just can't find my way in, I notice that one of my tempting behaviors is that I get a lot smaller. Like I notice my body getting smaller, my voice gets smaller, I kind of withdraw and give up a little bit. So that would be a tempting behavior that takes me outside my value. As we gear up to use these values as filters for our communication, whether we infuse them in the language of how we're communicating or just in our intentionality around the communication, I want us to also to think of them as really red flag sort of alarm bells. When you feel like unsettled within a conversation or even an environment, often you can ask yourself pretty quickly, are one of my two driving values feeling trespassed upon? And the answer is usually yeah. And the clearer we can be about that, the clearer we can give ourselves that criteria, the easier it becomes to get ourselves back on track, because we know what's feeling violated and we can communicate that.